And I will end my piece on this in the tiers because I got to jump off here in a couple of minutes. But as it goes with the tiers, if you want to put it up, Tyler,
I got
you. The tiers from our 5 out, right? So we've got CU in April, which is South Carolina, UCLA, UConn. Tier 2, which I believe are final four, like safe Final Four teams, is LSU, USC, Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, North Carolina. Tier 3 are the folks that could be in the Sweet 16 Elite 8. Is Duke, Maryland, TCU, Oklahoma, Tennessee, West Virginia, Kansas State, Michigan State, Illinois. There's the variants who, they could crash out early or they could finish high. Ole Miss, Bama, Iowa State, Nebraska, Florida State. And then the Chaos Merchants are kind of the rest where I'm not really sure what their ceiling is. I just know that they're a good team. Mm-hmm. The one I want everyone to kind of look at before I go, Tier 2, Ohio State. We have not talked nearly enough about this Ohio State team this year, guys. They are really, really, really good. Just beat a solid Illinois team, 83-74. That's their first major, really good opponent. Cleveland State's probably going to win the Horizon League, but they always struggle against power conference, high majors. So they lost 104-69. But I mean, there's so much depth. There's so much versatility. Chance Gray and Jelani Cambridge, who among all of the freshmen that we are not talking about here, Jelani Cambridge is one of those people that probably belongs in that tier of like what Hannah Hidalgo was last season. Like we've heard this discussion of, there's no freshmen in the class this season that are like last year's. Be a Juju Watkins in terms of like a motion maker, but a Jelani Cambridge, a Kyomi McMiller, who's over at Rutgers right now and has been awesome. We're starting to see flashes from Sarah Strong and Joyce Edwards. There's a lot of crop here. Even if it doesn't show in game 1, there's been a lot of good crop. And in Jelani Cambridge's defense, game 1, even though nobody saw it, 31 points on 12 of 14. Like she's a bucket. Her, AJ Petty from Kentucky, who's their rebounding machine. Cody McMahon is back. I mean, we said this last year, and Ohio State crashed out early against Duke. I actually like this Ohio State team better than last year's. I am going to put it down and say it. I like Petty up front. I think she was kind of the missing rebound piece that they did not have last year, even though Mikulashalova was pretty good. I think Petty's a lot better on the glass. And Buckeyes, man. Eye on the Buckeyes. And that is where I will leave you two to wrap the rest.
We got you. We know you got the heart out. We feel you.
Right from there. Ohio State, baby. Who you got?
Look, all I know is go check out 5 Out every week where you can find stuff like this from Andrew. Come on, it's the best weekly column in women's basketball. You know what to do. All right, y'all, let's get into these tiers. Andrew had to do it. He gave us his Ohio State take, but we're going to go tier by tier, each talk about a team. Tier 1 right now, the CU in April tier, the Final Four locks as of this moment. These are the title contenders to the highest degree. I want to talk about South Carolina, and because the tier is South Carolina, UCLA, UConn. And my take is that UCLA should have lost on purpose. Because, since that loss, South Carolina has been ridiculous. And I got to just go see them in person, where they whooped up on TCU. And here's the thing that I think that it inspires me the most about South Carolina right now is that this entire time, this entire season, the thing that I've been most interested in is the formula on offense because you don't have the back to the basket big. And instead of really worrying about the offensive formula, the defensive side has really shaped up super, super nicely since the UCLA game. Plus, whenever you shoot 40+% from 3 at a decent volume, when Raven Johnson is like 3 of 6, I think she goes from 3, which is phenomenal for her. Like, that's a dangerous team. And it's they've had a little different look in their eye since the UCLA loss, whether it be the Iowa State game, the Duke first half, especially this entire TCU game. UCLA might have been better off like just letting them win at the end, like let them know like, yeah, we can beat you and then go get them in March because the team that they've awoken looks ridiculous right now. But your team, UConn.
Well, I just want to say about UCLA, like you just cannot let the opportunity pass by.
No. I'm BSing when I say that, but South Carolina looks ridiculous since from the game since. Like obviously, you're not gonna not win that game, but the impacts of that game might have ruined it for the entire rest of the country with the way that South Carolina is flying around on defense right now. I can't get over it since that game. But your take on this tier?
Well, I mean, UCLA really hasn't played anybody since they beat South Carolina. So, obviously would love to see them play some stiffer competition, which we know they're going to get in the
it's on deck, right?
Yeah, in conference play. So interested to see, when they're playing more competition that's at their level, how they respond. UConn, this is the week. This is these next couple. I think the next 4 games. At least yeah. Well, it's Notre Dame this Thursday in South Bend at Purcell. So everybody
at Notre Dame, Georgetown, Iowa State, USC is the next 4.
Yeah. So, like I said last week, what I loved about the way that the season was shaking out is like every time you think somebody's good or is ascending, like here comes the meat of their schedule to be like, are they really like that? You know what I'm saying? And it's funny to even say the words because the percentages don't necessarily back this up, but Paige Beckers is kind of slumping right now. Still shooting.
Shawnee gonna spawn in like she just like stinging from the rafters.
Over 50% from the field as a guard and stuff, but like the last couple of games, I think last game against Louisville went 2 for 11 or something like that from the floor. So, and then obviously I'll never forget where I was watching Hannah Hidalgo split our heads wide open last year. So, with all of the alums in attendance. So, can we get it back in blood a little bit?
Yeah.
On Thursday night. You know what I'm saying? And then, that's what I'm looking for. Like, not even looking too far ahead to USC on the 21st. It's just like, can they take care of business on Thursday? What kind of defensive pressure can they put on the backcourt of Notre Dame with, Hidalgo, Citron, and Miles? In the front court, I expect us to win that battle. I do. You know what I'm saying? And especially if Notre Dame is still putting out the team that they put out against Texas over the weekend. So a big test this next week. This time next week, we'll know a lot more about the UConn Huskies.
Yeah. But Sarah Strong? One.
Okay, I've been telling you for weeks now, but I swear, okay, maybe I didn't tell you, but there was a pass that she made in 3x3 over the summertime. And for me, at least, I was like, oh, I've seen all I need to see about this player.
Yeah,
and
I feel like one of those moments.
Yeah, I was just like, it was a singular play. And then she caught the ball back to the basket at like the free throw line and just did something. And I was just like, 18-year-olds don't move like this. Like, this is very abnormal. And so to hear Coach Orium kind of just like confirm that at least offensively, like she just does things that they haven't had a player be able to do since Stewie was on campus. Just kind of confirmed what I've already been feeling about her. And she swept awards this week in the Big East, Big 12, excuse me, Big East, the best conference. No.
Hold on.
Of the week and Big East player of the week. And like, there's more where that came from. You know what I'm saying? So, also, I think like she's done things to get on the radars in the national discussion, but like a signature win against Notre Dame in their house could just take her to another place.
100%. Completely agree. Well, 2 of these teams that we just talked about that are on deck for the Huskies are in tier 2. Look for flights to Cleveland. Just be safe, LSU, USC, Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, and North Carolina. North Carolina's an interesting one.
Yeah, I wouldn't. They're not on this tier.
They ain't for me. But this is Andrew's list, so I'm not gonna boo him without him being here to defend himself.
That's fair.
I'll do it in the chat. But here's the thing. Notre Dame, like I'll start with them, I guess. Like, I mean, there's so much you can say about really all these teams here in this tier, frankly. But Notre Dame, like their trio, their big three is like it's just ridiculous. And I'll tell you right now, like that Notre Dame Texas game was super interesting because when they got into that zone against Texas, there was just truly nothing Texas could do. Both on one end because of just the roster that Texas has, and like they are just vulnerable to a zone, but also the way that Notre Dame commanded the space, like they took up so much more space than a normal zone just because of how active their hands are. And that all starts with Hannah Hidalgo at the very top of the zone, frankly. But like that was ridiculous. That was the most active zone I've ever seen. Like you can see, like there are lazy zones. I feel like majority of the time a zone is played is lazy. Not with Notre Dame. That was ridiculous. And then on the opposite end, they're tearing Texas up in a way that you don't see happen with Texas. We had talked about this before. Texas is not a bounce back game. And that's what they did. And they look, I mean, obviously it goes to overtime. I say tear them up. Obviously it was a close game. But like the way that how dangerous the kickout passes were in comparison to Texas's, like whether it was Hannah, Olivia, Sonia, whoever was on the perimeter, whatever came next was a threat, whether that be a shot, a drive, a pass around the perimeter again, just swinging it. Everything. And I mentioned this after the losses that I feel like Notre Dame is much more the team that beat USC than the team that lost those back-to-back games. And this game reassured me that is the case. Where as of right now, I think out of this tier 2, LSU, USC, Notre Dame, Texas, Ohio State, North Carolina, Notre Dame would probably be the first team that I bump up, even with the 2 losses, which are very not great losses, obviously. But even with that, the highs that I've seen of Notre Dame, the peaks, have been better than anyone else in this tier to me so far.
Okay. I'm going to talk about LSU.
Let's do it. To me.
I just think we talked about Flage last week and the leap that she's taking this year. Michaela Williams, the way she responded last week after being held scoreless in one of the games. I just feel like they just got so many different looks to throw at teams.
For sure.
That they are incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous. And then I just like the blend of like bigs that they have.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like no one's gonna like overwhelm you with like, but they just have the like stamina to just keep coming in waves, right? And then you have stars. Like you have stars in Anita Morrow, you have a star in Flage, you have a star in Michaela Williams, like, and then you have players who have some like irrational kind of confidence in like a Kaylin Gilbert or like a Cheyenne Day Wilson. Like, I like the way this team is constructed. Obviously, super interested to see them start playing like in conference games and stuff like that. But I know we talked about Tennessee's schedule earlier. Would be super interested to see what LSU's is like going into conference. But I feel, I really like this team. They obviously just play with a certain edge, certain swagger. You know what I mean? And I think Flage is like the head of the snake. And I think she's so confident in how she's moving right now on the basketball court that it's extending all the way down. And if again, I know you said like would not shock you at all if Flage was your SEC player of the year. She's moving like it. She's a leader on this team. Like also to see like not only the play like take a leap, but her leadership qualities also take a leap.
For sure.
Very, very cool to see. And obviously we've made tons of their schedule, their non-conference schedule over the last couple of seasons, but going into an SEC conference where now Texas and Oklahoma are also part of the equation.
Like even more reason to do the schedule, to be quite honest. Like it really, as much as we joke about it and everything, like I kind of get it. I don't like it from a viewing perspective, but from an LSU program perspective, I can understand it. But I'll tell you right, like I completely agree with everything that you just said. The day that they get the bigs and the perimeter clicking at the same time, that is a Final Four national championship level team. They just really haven't been able to do that. It's really been one or the other in games. Like, I don't think they've had a game where they've consistently for the entire 40 minutes had both an Anissa and Flaugier or Michaela really going, like really genuinely going to their peak at the same time. But that's also kind of the benefit of LSU, where it's like you can survive and win like they did against Stanford. They survived and won that game off the back of the talent, even if other players are not playing. Like Anissa Morrow did not have a great game, but Michaela Williams was ridiculous in that game and the shots she was hitting. Flaugier was great in that game. Kaylin Gilbert off the bench has been like probably the best bench player, or potentially the best bench player in the entire nation so far. Yeah. Like Gilbert has been fantastic in that ice in her veins. She's had several big moments as well where she's come out clutch. So that's kind of the benefit of being LSU is even when it's not all clicking, you still could be okay. Let's move on to tier 3. The region runners, teams with a Sweet 16, Elite 8 ceiling, and second round floor to Andrew. I'm gonna be a homer. Okay. Oklahoma is here. It's Duke, Maryland, TCU, Oklahoma, Tennessee, which we just spoke about, West Virginia, Kansas State, Michigan State, Illinois.
Yeah.
I'm gonna let you fact check me here, okay? Because I understand where my bias is. Even though Oklahoma lost to Duke in this tier, which I completely am acknowledging, I still feel like Oklahoma's the best team in this tier. I think Reagan Beers is an All-American center. I think that Duke game, Duke shot lights out. And we had talked about it on the post game as well, where like Oklahoma certainly didn't make it difficult on a lot of those shots, frankly. But I still think the ceiling of Oklahoma is potentially the highest out of any team in this region. I think they got the shooting is there. Like Skylar Vann is still one of the most underrated players in the entire nation. She was co-Big 12 Player of the Year last year with Madison Booker, and like you add Reagan Beers into that, they only lost like one player, and it wasn't a player that played many minutes. It was like maybe 2 players from last year. Like they're retaining basically everything. You're just adding Reagan Beers to the mix, and so I understand they lost to Duke, but even like early on in the rankings, like before that loss, like I've continuously felt like I don't know if it's Reagan Beers being underrated. I don't know if it's Skylar Vann being underrated, but that chemistry is coming along with the high-low, and I still am a believer. And like that might just be the shameless biasness of it being my team, but like I don't know. I still just like when I look at these other teams, I don't see kind of the go-to player in that way at times. Like
I think if you're talking about these, I don't know, what is this, 6 or 8 or 9 teams here listed here? Yeah. Reagan Beers is like far and away, I think, the best player out of all of the teams right now. Like, Duke has a couple players that are very, very interesting.
Certainly.
But I wouldn't say that they're better than Reagan Beers. TCU, obviously, Haley's
doing her thing. Even in the South Carolina game, like I did not leave feeling bad about Haley Van List's game at all.
Not at all. But like, you're taking Reagan Beers 10 times out of 10. It's
for sure.
She's a big who gets it done. So yes, and some of this is like you're only as good as where your best player can take you.
Mm-hmm.
So if that's what we're saying here, then yeah, I think she's far and away the best player out of this collection of teams. But just Oklahoma's like kind of refusal to play defense just still scares me.
It's fair. I look, believe me, I understand.
it still scares me because what are you going to do when shots are not falling?
Mm-hmm.
So if you can only win in one way,
that's fair.
It's alarming.
That's fair.
A team I want to talk about, and again, setting up for, okay, you think you're good. We're about to find out how good are you for real, is the Maryland Terrapins.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Because outside of Cheyenne Sellers, like they're pretty much returning a completely new team that we're like pretty unfamiliar with. They only have, I would say, like one quality win on their schedule right now, which is Duke, and who they beat 85-80 pretty early in the season.
Yeah.
But like I said, and we're going to do a couple more episodes before we really see, but it's something just to get our wheels turning, right? Big 10 play is about to start. Their first 4 games of conference play is Michigan State, Rutgers, Iowa, and USC.
Have fun. Have fun.
What is this team? You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
What is this team? I'm super interested to find out because I feel like there are already kind of murmurs of like disrespect amongst the Maryland fan base a little bit. And you got to remember, like, this is a team who has come into the Big Ten and pre-Caitlin Clark ran shit straight up.
100%.
Ran shit. So I kind of get in the one way, like feeling a certain way because it's like in years, not even all of like they were still winning when Caitlin.
Yeah, no, they were right up there with Iowa the entire time. Right.
Exactly. So it's like put some respect on our names a little bit, and they're going to have an opportunity to present their case really soon here. So I'm excited to see.
Yeah, I'm with you. There's that Big Ten conference is gonna be ridiculous. There's gonna be really good games. Moving on to tier 4, the variants that could be in the Sweet 16/Elite 8 as easily as they could crash out. Ole Miss, Alabama, Iowa State, Nebraska, Florida State. I mean, honestly, just generally speaking, with this tier, like I that is like the perfect way to describe these teams to me. Because like, for example, like a Florida State, Tanaya Latson can score you into some wins, and Ole Miss on the other hand is like. We've seen like that. I mean, we've seen what we saw against UConn, like in that second half, right? And like the team that they can potentially beat.
Third quarter
against UConn. Okay, I'll give it to you. Like Iowa State, we know what Audi Crooks can like, and Addie Brown as well. Addie Brown to me is still one of the most underrated players in the entire nation across the board. Emily Ryan is you can make a case for her as well in that, and it just hasn't really clicked. Like these are just teams that are like I think that is the perfect definition for them, where it's like I don't even really know how to project them right now because it really is as not even I really want to be surprised either way, frankly, with any of these teams, just because I think these are teams with like obvious holes that I don't know how they get plugged any like in going further, because even like the chaos merch, like the next year we talk about, these are teams I still like are still there's room for growth. I feel like a lot of these teams in this tier we kind of know who they are, and it could be an Elite 8. It could be a first round exit. Like it really could be. Is there any of these teams that kind of stick out to you in any way that you have any big thoughts?
I mean, Utah sticks out to me because they're super experienced.
Yeah, in tier 5. Yeah. So it's Georgia Tech, Richmond, Oregon, Mississippi State, Utah, South Dakota State, Harvard, Stanford, Iowa, Cal, Michigan. Yeah.
They are super experienced. They've got Neepkins, they've got Vieira, they've got Kennedy McQueen, they've got Jenna John. Like this is they've been together a really long time. They know each other well. They obviously moved to a different conference this year with the Big 12, but already have a signature win on the season, and a bunch of players who know how to play together. So, like they're a team where. Yeah, if you told me they were making like a Sweet 16 run, I would believe it. Other teams that are intriguing. I mean, when you have a player like what Tyler Storage is doing for Michigan,
right?
Who just has like real command over her own game. Incredibly interesting. You brought up Tanaya Latson, who is leading the country in scoring right now, and by a pretty comfortable margin, right? If she can maintain that clip, and just basically become unguardable,
that's which is a genuine possibility with a bucket getter like her, like 100%.
Yeah,
it had to be that though. That's where it feels like with Florida State is. It has to be that.
Yeah. Cal and Stanford are going to play each other here really, really soon. And I think in both at Haas and at Maples. So we'll get some answers there really soon. Yeah. Super interested to see how they look against each other. But yeah, I would say like for my money, out of all the teams like listed in these bottom two tiers, Utah is like I think the kind of like the best team.
Got you. Yeah,
like, the team I trust the most.
Yeah, no, I feel you. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still in on Iowa. That's obviously. I think Tennessee is a that's not a terrible loss by any means. To lose to Tennessee, and Lucy Olson is legit, y'all. We've been known with you've had the firsthand experience really with Lucy Olson. And I still just I can still see the vision there. I don't.
Yeah, I wouldn't overreact to their loss against Tennessee.
No. So I'm still Hannah didn't have a great game against Tennessee. I'm still a believer. I'm still confident a believer in that. And honestly, kind of similar to the Tanaya point, Harvard and Harmony Turner, the start that she's having, if that's what she's bringing, she's just another one. There's just a lot of individuals amongst these teams where maybe these teams are a year or two away, but they have players that are here right now that can really take you over the top in a certain game, whether it be in March or conference play, getting an upset. There's several players as individuals on these teams in these last two tiers that can win you games. Whether it be Audi Crooks on Iowa State, a Harmony Turner, and I'll tell you another player who's quickly arising into that tier is Nunu Agara from Stanford. That game against LSU, there were very good bigs on that court. She looked far and away the best one. Right. As a sophomore. This is the eye emojis, I was unfamiliar with their game going into I am so sorry. Because I left that game genuinely very, very impressed. So for these teams, a lot of it has to do with the growth of the team surrounding your star and figuring out how that can best go. And I think the reason why I still have that trust in Iowa is I think that they might have two in Stolke and Lucy Olson that can do that. Where I think that's where I still and Iowa State as well. They just have the surrounding talent around if you have your quote unquote number one, it can be someone else on another night. Whereas a lot of these teams don't have that. And so that's where I still think that I trust them the most, even though Iowa hasn't had bad results. Iowa State it's been a really weird start, honestly. But I'm still not completely out on the state of Iowa by any means. But that's gonna do it for Ball Up Top. What a great time. So much going on in women's basketball, y'all. Make sure if y'all didn't check out our interview with Tyler Marsh, go check that out. It's here. Look, there's still so many, whether it be Tennessee, we talked to Kim Caldwell. If it's Iowa, we talked to Jan Jensen. Scroll through the YouTube, you're gonna find something that you like, I promise. So make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss anything that's coming up next. We got some cool stuff playing. There's some massive matchups that are coming up. All those UConn games we talked about, we'll be here. We'll have some post games. We're gonna be talking about it. There's some big time matchups on deck, and then conference play. Yeah. Someone will be. It'll be you or Shawnee. Someone will be in a good mood. But now conference play is on deck. sorry. Sorry. I'm a neutral. So I'm just here to instigate. But now conference play is on deck. Big time matchups, which means big time coverage for No Cap Space. We got you covered across the board. Hit the website down below, nocapspacewbb.com. Hit home field down below. Get your shopping in before Christmas, before all the holidays. Use the link. We got you covered. Subscribe, comment, like, all that. And we'll see you next time.